Hello everybody and welcome to the home of world football, and that is also home to the greatest side currently in League One, and for once I can actually say that, and it's true, because my beloved Oxford United are top of the league. Indulge me in this video, everyone. I so rarely get to say it. But welcome back to a League One video with a difference. We're still in the very early stages of the season. We've only had 5 games, but I have taken this opportunity, maybe it's because Oxford are top of the league, who knows, to do a little rank for all of the sides in this early stage after 5 games. Now I think you will agree with me that this rank means absolutely everything, and it's a definitive guide to how your side is doing, and if you believe that, you'll believe absolutely anything. I'm going to go through all the clubs in League One in alphabetical order. I'm going to put timestamps down below as well, so if you want to jump to just where I talk about your club and where I give your club a rank, that's absolutely fine. I get it, but if you do that, the very least you can do is hit like on this video. That helps me out so much. And if you do like the content, then please think about subscribing. I'm getting ever so close to 1,000 subs. It's nearly below 50 that I need. You could help me get there. Help me get there. But I've wasted enough of your time already, good folks. Let's jump into the meat of the matter. Let's jump in to those rankings, and we're starting with Barnsley. So let's start talking about Barnsley. So far, Barnsley, 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 losses, 7 points so far, and they are 12th in the table. And it's fair to say, as you can see from those results, bit of a mixed bag for the Tykes so far. A thumping 7-0 win for the Tykes on the opening day of the season maybe gave them a little bit too much confidence, and they soon crashed back down to earth in the next 3 games, including hitting rock bottom with a 3-1 defeat to Oxford United. I certainly can imagine that must have felt very, very painful, but they did get back to winning ways with a good win against Wigan at the weekend. Neil Collins, still very much new in the job and still very much trying to find his best 11, playing the 3-4-1-2 formation, pretty similar to what Michael Duff did last season. New low signing McAtee has started with a goal alongside Devante Cole, who already has 5, and it shows that Barnsley have plenty of firepower. We kind of already knew that. John Russell has also started well in midfield, but it's at the back where Barnsley have been a little bit suspect and a little bit shaky. Individual errors have certainly cost them in games, and they're also a little bit susceptible to pace. But they did start this last season in pretty similar form, so I do expect Barnsley to improve. But for the moment, they only get a C. Second on the list is Blackpool, and Blackpool have started with 1 win, 3 draws and 1 loss. 6 points from their opening 5 games, and they are in 15th place in League One. Neil Critchley's return, and it's very evident where this side needs to improve, and that is scoring goals. They've only scored 2 goals this season, and they actually came in the opening day. So the next 4 games after that, they've scored absolutely none. But at the back, things do look very solid for Blackpool. They've only conceded, actually, for the first time in that last game, and that was against Lincoln. James Husband, not surprisingly, a lot of these defensive players have played well for Blackpool this season, but James Husband has looked especially good at centre-back this season. Actually, in the majority of the games, Blackpool have actually controlled possession and had more shots in most of them. They've just struggled to score. I know the Tangerine fans will be hoping that Jordan Rhodes is the guy to come in to provide that cutting edge that they need. And if Blackpool can start scoring goals, then they're going to be a very hard side to beat. But not a great start so far to life back in League One, and Blackpool start with a C. Third on the list is Bolton Wanderers, and Bolton have started very well, actually. 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, 10 points. Ian Everett's side certainly living up to the early favourites tag. The last 2 games, though, a heavy loss, and a draw to Burton have kind of taken the gloss off that good start, but they still do remain a very strong, well-balanced side. In fact, the stats back this up as well. They've been dominating the majority of the games, and actually they have the best shots for and against in League One so far, and they're near the top of the possession stats as well. In fact, they are actually top of the possession stats. Adebayo has 4 goals so far, and Dion Charles has 3. And if you compare that to Blackpool, who we've just talked about, you can see the difference there. In fact, those two having 7 goals between them is better than 15 of the sides currently in League One. So there's plenty of firepower in this Bolton side. We know they're a good side, still a good side at the back from what we saw last season as well. The likes of Dempsey, Williams, Dacris Cogley, probably saying that name wrong, have started the season all very well. And that 4-0 loss to Wigan, what a weird random result that looks at this early stage of the season. That surely was just a blip, but they will want to get back to winning ways as soon as possible. But it remains an excellent start for what is hopefully for Bolton fans going to be a promotion campaign. Ian Everett's side start with an A. Bristol Rovers are next, and the Gasheads have started with 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses. It is 5 points so far, and they are in 17th place. As you can tell, another side with a mixed bag of results, and the Gas has some good results actually against Pompey, Barnsley and Charlton, but they've had back-to-back poor losses now against Cambridge and against Wycombe Wanderers. Oh, losing to Wycombe. Yikes. Barton is playing a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1, but I'm not sure that these tactics are really working, and I'm really not convinced that Barton knows his best side either. Rovers are giving away a lot of shots per game, 15 shots per game on average, which is the second worst in the division, and their defence looks pretty suspect from wide areas as well. Also, the Gas struggle when they do lose the first goal in a game. It's a big difference between them getting the first goal or conceding it, and they do struggle to come back when they do go a goal down. No surprises though, Luke Thomas has started the season very, very well after his move from Barnsley, but Genvi Brown will be hoping that he can come back from injury and add some much needed firepower to this Bristol Rovers side. It's not a good start, and I thought they'd be doing much better, but it is only early days. So far, Bristol Rovers get a D. Burton Albion have had no wins, 2 draws and 3 losses, so only 2 points, and they are in 22nd place. You don't need me to tell you, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's been a tough start to the campaign for the Brewers. Dino Marmria is still searching for his best formation and best 11 to play, and they may have just settled on the 4-2-3-1 formation after they got a pretty good 1-1 draw at home to Bolton, which is probably, well not even probably, is the best they've played this season. It's their second draw in a row, so it maybe does show signs that things are starting to turn around. The pressing and the aggression was so much better, so much more in line with what we saw at the back end of last season in that last game in particular. But like a lot of sides we're going to say this afternoon, they lack a cutting edge. Like I said, there's a lot of sides that do have this problem, but with only 2 goals on the season, Burton really do need to improve on this. And they need more from their new signings, especially Cole Stockton. Hasn't really hit the ground running at all. But the Brewers will hope that what they've seen in the last 2 games is a sign that things are going to improve. But for now, it's not been a good start. And Burton also get a D. Moving up the grades now, Cambridge United have started with 3 wins, no draws and 2 losses, 9 points so far, and they are in 9th place. It's been a great start to the season for Mark Bonner's side, and he continues to prove what a great manager he is. It's such a well-organised team, and they have shown already in this season if they take the lead in a game, they invariably go on to win it. Deservedly and well beat my beloved Oxford United on the opening day of the season. Shaku Jenna was fantastic that game, and he has started the season brilliantly, but the U's will miss him as he has gone down with an injury, and they'll be hoping they can get him back soon. But Ghassan Adame has also filled the boots of Sam Smith, leaving quite well. He's a real handful up front. Cambridge, they're not a side that's going to bother about possession. They're quite happy to let the opposition have it. You've got the likes of Digby and Thomas in there doing such a great job screening and protecting the back 4 and Jack Stevens. And again, that just makes them a very, very difficult side to break down. The 2-0 defeat there against Leyton Orient last time out was easily the worst they have played this season. And they'll be hoping that that is just a blip and they can carry on. They did have a good start last season and they tailed off. So they'll be hoping that doesn't happen again. But Mark Bonner and Cambridge are proving idiots like me wrong who had them getting relegated. It's been a great start to the season for Cambridge. And Cambridge get an A. Carlisle United next, and Carlisle Oh, I've struggled. It's been no wins, 2 draws and 3 losses, 2 points, and they, like Burton, are in the relegation zone in 21st place. I've already said it, but it's been a struggle for Paul Simpson's side. It is their return to League One. It's only really Owen Moxon who's shown any real signs of quality and creativity in this Carlisle side, and it is only Moxon who has scored the 2 goals that they have scored so far. Paul Simpson is trying to find a system that gives them a little bit more punch. He's tried 5 at the back, he's tried 4 at the back, but nothing really seems to be working. But they do remain a decent outfit defensively, and the majority of the games they've had this season have been close. But if you can't score, then you are going to struggle to get much out of these games, and they need to address that pretty quickly and hopefully while the window is still open. But it's a worrying start for the Cumbrians. I'm not going to give them the bottom grade because newly promoted side and all that, and it can sometimes be a tricky start. But they do get a D. Oh boy, Charlton Athletic. Never feels like a crisis is too far away, does it? Charlton started the season 1 win, no draws, 4 losses, 3 points from the opening 5 games, and they find themselves in 19th place. They have been the first side to pull the trigger on their manager, and Dean Holden has been fired after losing to Oxford United. I know it's like rock bottom for these clubs, losing to Oxford, but that is what's happened. They won on the opening day. They won by a 1-0, but they followed that up with 4 defeats. And it has not been good defeats as well. They've had some injuries to some key players, and I think when Charlton do get a first choice 11 back, I think they'll vastly improve. And I still think that they will be a side pushing up the top of the league, or near the top of the league rather than down the bottom. But they do look very disjointed at the moment, and there are problems at both ends of the pitch. In the games they've played, they do actually create quite a few chances, but they struggle to score them, and they've only scored 5 so far this season. But it's in defence where they look very vulnerable, look very susceptible from set pieces and from open play as well. So it's certainly an area that needs to improve really first before you can start looking at attacking options that they have. Huge lack of confidence in this Charlton side at the moment as well, and the fans are lost patience with Holden pretty quickly. Don't know who's going to come into that side, but it's all a bit of a mess at the moment, and I feel for you Charlton fans. But at the moment I can only give Charlton 1 grade, and that's the bottom grade. Charlton, get an F. Charlton, you may have company because it's time to talk about Cheltenham Town. Winless Cheltenham Town. No wins, 1 draw, 4 losses, 1 point from 24 games. Get this, no points, no goals for Wade Elliott's side. Only them and Everton have not scored so far in English Football League. And you can't help but be worried about the lack of quality that they've had in goal. We thought that they might struggle after Alfie May left, and it is proving that that is going to be the case. Wade Elliott has tinkered with the formation and the personnel, but they haven't really found anything yet that shows that they're going to score some goals and be dangerous. They did lose a game 3-0, but most of the other games have actually been tight, and they did actually get a decent 0-0 draw away at Pompey. I know that game was weird because you had like 24 minutes of added on time, but they did get a 0-0 draw away there, so that was a good result and does give them some encouragement. Curtis Davis and Lewis Freestone have started the season well in defence, and for the most part, other than that scoring goals issue, which is huge, they do look quite well organised, like a lot of sides in this league. And if they can address it and get someone in that can find the back of the net, then they will have a hope that they can move out of the dire situation that they find themselves in only after 5 games. But that remains to be seen, and it looks a tall order already for a Cheltenham side that I don't think are going to do very well this season. I think I actually had them coming bottom, and they do start with an F. Derby County have started the season with 3 wins, no draws and 2 losses. It's 9 points and they find themselves in 8th place. I know Derby fans are used to kind of going through the ringer with their side, but I feel only in these 5 games they've put their fans through the full gambit of emotions. They lost to Oxford, And Oxford actually played really well that game. But I know that game, like what we talked about with Barnsley and Charlton, that must have felt like a rock bottom for your side. But you actually have bounced back from hitting rock bottom with 2 wins in the last 2 games. And that 4-2 win away at Peterborough certainly was impressive and gives the fans hope that they have turned the corner and can live up to the tag of early season favourites. Been some question marks over Paul Warne's tactics from the Derby fans, but in the last 2 games he's made some changes which have made the difference, I think. Waghorn starting up front has certainly been a big difference. He's scored a lot of goals. Mendes Lang moving to the wing rather than up front is better as well. He's a much better wide player and causes more problems from that area. And also bringing in Jake Rooney at centre-back instead of Sonny Bradley has improved this Derby side at the back as well. So from nearly being in crisis, Derby have railed it back quite nicely and have started the season pretty solidly, and I would say that their fans will be relatively content with the start, and Derby get a B. Exeter City, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, 10 points, and find themselves in 2nd place. Wow, Exeter fans, what a start to the season you have had, and you raced out of the gate in the opening game, scoring 2 goals in the first 5 minutes with that 3-0 win over Wycombe Wanderers. That did make me happy on the opening day. There wasn't much else that made me happy, but that one certainly did, and that really set the tone for what has been a brilliant start for Gary Caldwell's men. This Grecian side look very well organised. They continue to play attractive football like they did last season, and also look pretty good at the back. That defensive line, Sinisalo in goal. Probably said it wrong. I apologise. Hartage and Ameson and Sweeney at the back. They've only conceded 2 goals so far, and I think that has probably been the most impressive stat in what has been a dream start for Exeter. They'll be hoping that they can carry this on. It's only the mighty Oxford United that stand above them in the table, and Exeter thoroughly deserve this. They're the first team to get it. They get an S. Oh, we're roller coastering now, aren't we? Back and forth along the grades, and we come to Fleetwood Town, and Fleetwood are another side who are winless. No wins, 1 draw, 3 losses, just 1 point, and they sit 1 place above Cheltenham Town in 23rd place. They've had a lot of close games this season. They've just come out on the wrong side of them. And what's the overriding thing I look at? They just can't score goals. Fleetwood have actually had more possession in 4 out of the 5 games, but it actually means nothing if you can't stick the ball in the back of the net. And Scott Brown has tried switching it up. He's played 4-3-3, he's played 3-5-2. But in that last game against Shrewsbury, where they played a 3-5-2, 2 red cards, really spoilt the game for the Cod Army, but it did still only end up in a narrow defeat. Going forward, they need a lot more from the likes of O'Shea, Marriott and Stockley. They need to find some goals soon, so the Fleet could be in real trouble. And the Fleetwood Town, no surprising, like Cheltenham and like Charlton, they get an F. Another newly promoted side is the men from the Orient, and Leyton Orient have started with 1 win, 1 draw, 3 losses, 4 points from the opening 5 games, sees them in 18th place. A win against Cambridge in the last game means that it's become an okay start, really, for the O's back in League One. Shaq Ford scored on his debut in that game, and also Jordan Graham supported really well alongside Theo Archibald, and they looked a lot better side in that Cambridge victory, and Richie Wellens will be hoping that that is a winning combination that he's found that will start scoring them some goals and start picking them up some points. The last 2 games have also seen them be more solid at the back. Sol Bryn coming in the last 2 games has helped them yield 2 clean sheets, and also the loanees making the difference for Orient. El Missouni performing very well so far. I think you're going to see this Leyton Orient side improve as the season goes on. I think they'll be absolutely fine in League One. Just took a little bit of time to find their feet, but they found it now, and I think that they start with a respectable C grade. Lincoln City are next. They've started with 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, and it's 10 points from the opening 5 games. They see themselves in 4th place. Mark Kennedy's Imps have had an excellent start to the season, and they're coming off the back of a fantastic 3-0 win over Blackpool. Other than the tough loss they had on the opening day of the season to Bolton. They've been very, very tough to break down and very opportunistic in front of goal. They only average about 9 shots a game and they only have about 38% possession, but they've still managed to score 9 goals and they've won 3 games, and that really should have been 4 games because they blew a 2-0 lead against Northampton. I expected this Lincoln side to be dangerous, and if they can start scoring goals, then I think they're really in for a good season. The likes of Hackett Fairchild in attack has been very good, along with Ethan Ahiran in midfield and Paulie O'Connor. They've all started the season well. I'm actually dreading playing Lincoln in a couple of weeks. It's going to be a really tough game, and Lincoln have started really well, as I've said. Mark Kennedy's men get an A. Newly promoted Northampton Town have started with 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 losses, 7 points, and they find themselves in 13th place. And I think John Brady will be delighted with that start. It's a very solid side that he has. They've scored 5, they've conceded 5, and every game has been won or lost by the odd goal, apart from the draw, which was 2-2, which, looking at their scores, looks like a real anomaly of a game. And of course, 7 points from the opening 5 games is a very tidy return from a newly promoted side, but I think the Cobblers will think they could have fared even better. It all stems from a solid base and a solid back line, with the likes of Guthrie, Lennon and Shering and goalkeeper Bird providing that solid base. And they actually fashioned quite a few chances in games, but they simply just can't put them away. We've heard that with a problem with a lot of sides in this league. But apart from Sam Hoskins, of course, who remains absolutely brilliant for this Northampton Town side. Also, let's not gloss over that win in the Neen derby against Peterborough. What a goal that was to win it. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. What a goal. Very good stuff from the Cobblers. Good start to the season, and they get a very solid B. We've reached that happy time of the video, folks, where I get to gush and indulge on Oxford United. For what has seemed like an eternity, we've actually started a season bloody well. Oxford have started with 4 wins, no losses and 1 defeat, 12 points, and we're top of the league. So please indulge me. Indulge me. It's been years since Oxford have been top of a league at any stage of any season. So please just allow me to enjoy it. Wait, that reminds me. Ahoy there, shipmates, because HMS Pissed League is in full force. Yes, we lost to Cambridge on the opening day of the season. And yes, after that first week, I did fear the worst. But Oxford have bounced back. 4 wins in a row. And the Yellows are playing some lovely football under Liam Manning. He's recruited really well. And he's improving the players that were already there. I just still wish Oxford were a little bit more clinical in games. We still have to create far too many chances before we stick one away, and it is only 1 clean sheet so far in the season, but the wins against the likes of Charlton and away at Derby and Barnsley fill me with a lot of hope. And if you can't enjoy when your side does well, then what's the point of supporting them? I have to keep reminding myself that it is only 5 games into the season, but I'm loving it so far. And of course, Oxford United, I can't believe I'm saying it, get an S. Thank you for getting through that if you did, and if you did hit the down button, I fully understand. But we'll move on to Peterborough United, who have also started the season well. Not quite as well as Oxford, but they have started the season well with 3 wins, no draws and 2 losses. 9 points sees the Posh in 10th place. And I think Peterborough fans are kind of used to things going from the sublime to the ridiculous. We won't talk about what happened last season, but it was a bit of a roller coaster to say the least. And again, only in these 5 games it seems to be happening again. If you meet Peterborough on the wrong day, you're going to be in for an absolute hammering. They're going to take you to the cleaners. The likes of Poku, Mason Clark and Clark Harris have all started the season really well. In fact, 3 games into the season, you've just had a brilliant 3-1 away win at Barnsley. I know how that feels. And things seem to be really clicking. But then, a couple of dodgy games. You lose a game at home to Derby 4-2. And you lose a Derby game by a freak. An absolute freak goal to Northampton. goal is in inverted commas. So I'm kind of back to square one with how I feel about this Peterborough side. Look, they're always going to give the opposition a chance, and you're always going to feel you can score goals against them, but they can also do the same to you. But it has been a decent start to Darren Ferguson's men, so I am going to give them a B. Moving on to Portsmouth, who are the only unbeaten side left in League One. They've started with 2 wins, 3 draws, and obviously no defeats, leaving 9 points so far, and they are in 7th place. It's a good start for John Massinio, but to be a dominant side in this league, and there's plenty of people that were tipping Portsmouth for promotion, you need to be clinical at both ends of the table. And so far, Massinio's got it right with the defensive side of things. Only 1 goal conceded, and that was on the opening day of the season to Bristol Rovers. So it's been a rock-solid wall of a defence since then, with the likes of Conor Shaughnessy and partner Regan Poole at centre-back providing the backbone of that wall. So Moose has sorted out the back line. I can call him Moose. He was at Oxford for a long time. That's what we called him. I'm not being too over familiar there. Moose, yeah, he sorted it out at the back line, but he needs to get that attacking line firing because only 3 players have actually found the net so far. And Portsmouth failing to convert their chances is resulting in drop points. They had draws against Cheltenham and draws against Bristol Rovers, and they will feel like they've left points on the table there. It's a bit worrying for the rest of the league, actually, because if Portsmouth do start firing, then you get the feeling they could really be the complete package. But for the moment, they're pretty dormant, and for the moment, they are heading a B. Port Vale are next. Port Vale played 3, drawn 1, lost 1. They're another side where I got a lot of egg on my face after early season predictions. I had them going down, but they started the season really well. 10 points from the opening 5 games, find themselves in 6th place. Obituaries were being written though after that first day of the season of a 7-0 hammering to Barnsley. Put your hands up if you were one of those people writing those obituaries. I certainly was. But full credit to Andy Crosby's side for bouncing back at a game where pretty much everything Barnsley hit went in the back of the net. But since conceding 7 goals, the Valiants have actually been pretty solid at the back, and they've only conceded 2 goals in the next 4 games, and they've won 3 of them, and they've drawn 1. So that 7-0 result really does stand out as a real freak. Alex Lacaviti and Nathan Smith, both at fullbacks, have started the season really well. And to say that back line does look pretty good, but like a lot of sides, struggling to score. I sound like a broken bloody record. Struggling to convert their chances. They do create chances in games, they haven't been tucking them away. And it's really only Ellis Harrison is the only recognised striker in the building, and he's been struggling for fitness. And to be honest, he's not really that much of a lethal goal scorer at this level. But at the moment, Vale are finding a way, and they're doing it fantastically. And really, I should be giving this Port Vale side an S, but it's just that 7-0 defeat that's dragging them down to the shameful rank of an A. Reading are up next, and Reading have won 2, drawn none, and lost 3 games so far. Gives them 5 points because they have obviously got 1 point deducted, and they are in 16th place. It's an okay start for Reading, and I think it's fair to say Ruben Sellers is still trying to work out his best team, and injuries have really hurt this Royal side, particularly in attacking areas. They've had a couple of good wins at home, but it's away from home where struggles from last season have really carried on, and they struggled physically against an Exeter side last time out. It's a young side though, and so you kind of expect that. They're good in possession, they're generally pretty solid, but stop me if you've heard this before, they just seem to be lacking a bit of a cutting edge. Charlie Savage, Tyler Bindham and Femi Aziz have all started the season promisingly, and Kelvin, I'm going to put his name on the screen because I have no idea how to say this. If there are any Reading fans watching this, can you let me know, or anybody let me know? The lad called Kelvin up top, he looks very promising as well. Andy Carroll kind of seems to turn up when he feels like it, but I wouldn't put too many hopes on him being the difference this season. And I just feel that all in all, you just need a little bit more experience sprinkled in with these talented youngsters. It's a rebuild season, it feels like so far, and Reading only get a C. Shrewsbury Town now. Shrewsbury Town won 3, drawn none, lost 2, 9 points, and are 11th in League One. Kind of always seem to fly sorry the pun there, under the radar do the Shrews. And they've had a good start actually again, but they have had some favourable games against some favourable opposition, but nonetheless it is a good start. But if anybody thought that this was going to be a departure from the way they played last season with Matt Taylor now being in charge, you're going to be very disappointed from what I've seen so far. This is very much a Steve Cotterill team playing a Steve Cotterill brand of football. Keep the games tight, try and nick a goal. It's not pretty, but it has been very effective for Shrewsbury. So not surprisingly, it's the centre-backs and the defence that get a lot of the plaudits. Shay Dunkley and Morgan Feeney have been brilliant. But also up top now, they've got Daniel Udu back from injury, and he could be the difference maker. He's had a horrible injury, but he's just come back. He's got 1 assist and he's got 1 goal so far for the season. And that 1 goal was a beauty of a goal to win the game against Fleetwood. So, like a lot of sides, broken record. If they can start finding the back of the net, they are going to be a tricky side to beat. But so far, solid from the Shrews, and Shrewsbury get a B. The final promoted side now, and that is Stevenage, and they have done the best out of the promoted sides. 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, an amazing 10 points from the opening 5 games. There were a lot of Stevenage fans that said I was crazy for predicting them to be relegated in my League One predictions video at the start of the season. And you know what? You were right. And I'm already regretting it. One of the common features they said was Steve Evans has assembled a very good squad. And he has. It's an excellent squad, willing to scrap and fight for every single point. We know Steve Evans from history. He loves it when the world is against him, and it's kind of an inflection of this Stevenage side, and that 0-0 draw against Pompey was a real case in point for that. But there is quality in this team, and the likes of Pierre Gianni, Presley, Burns and Roberts have all started the season well, and Jamie Reid has 2 goals. The broken record's out again, folks, because like a lot of teams, they do need to be more ruthless in front of goal, but I'm sure they're taking great delight in proving a lot of idiots like me wrong, and it's a fantastic start to the season. And like Exeter and like Oxford, Stevenage get an S. Into the final 2 now, we have Wigan Athletic. Wigan 1-3, drawn 1, lost 1, only 2 points, and they're only in 20th place. But remember, they have been deducted 8 points from the start of the season. So it has been an impressive start from the Ticks. The fact they've already overturned that 8-point deficit and are back in the black, they can start looking towards moving up the table and maybe even start surging towards the playoff places. And that's not out of the realms of possibility from what we've seen from Wigan so far this season. They only tasted defeat for the first time out last time against Barnsley, but an early red card kind of ruined that game for the Pies. But they've already had impressive wins away at Derby, and that 4-0 win away at Bolton is probably the most remarkable and brilliant performance of the season. Through the chaos of Wigan Athletic, Sean Maloney has assembled a very good squad, and whilst I'm talking about a lot of teams that need firepower, Wigan seem to have it in spades. 9 goals already, Charlie Wyke with 5, Humphreys with 2, McManaman with 1 and Tom Pearce with 3 assists. And they've also shown that they can be quite resilient as well, with a good come-from-behind victory against Northampton in match day 2, and that really kept the momentum going after that early win against Derby. After what the Wigan fans have been through with the off-the-field frustrations that have hampered this club, they deserve this, and they deserve this success. It's been a brilliant start to the season, and good luck to you, Wigan Athletic, until you play Oxford, of course. But it's been a brilliant start, and you're right up there with the 3 other sides on that top line, because Wigan get an S. And that brings me to Wycombe, last and therefore least. It never gets old. It never gets old saying that, but Wycombe have started with 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 losses, giving them 7 points and giving them a 14th place in the table. After 2 games of the season, some Wycombe fans quite rightly were panicking. But Matt Bloomfield has found his feet with this Chairboys team, and they've ended up having a pretty solid return after 5 games. The difference for Wycombe has been Joe Lowe coming into centre-back. He's kind of really changed everything, really. He's already got 3 goals from set pieces, and the Chairboys just look a lot more assured with him in defence, which is quite a coup for a young man only playing a handful of games so far. And that win away at Bristol Rovers was a very, very good one last time out and very much a Wycombe Wanderers performance. Luke Leahy, who they signed in from Shrewsbury, has 3 assists already and looks very good from set pieces. And that is exactly where Wycombe have looked their most dangerous. They've not really created anything from open play, and that is something Matt Bloomfield needs to address. But his first job was sorting out that back line, especially after back-to-back 3-0 defeats on the opening 2 days of the season, and they have done that. Solid start for Wycombe. They look much more like the side I thought they would be at the start of the season, but it is only a C grade for the Chairboys. There we have it, folks. That is the rankings done after 5 games of the season. It's still only in its infancy and we've still got ages to go. I'll probably come back and do this maybe after the next 5 and stuff like that. So I'll be interested to see how your sides do in the next round of games. Obviously, it's going to be disjointed a little bit because we've got international breaks, so there'll be some postponements and stuff like that. But it's only for fun, and mainly it was only done because Oxford got to top of the league. So again, as I say, just indulge me on that one. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you agree with and what you don't agree with, as always. And also feel free to give a thumbs down if you don't like it, and give me any negative comments, probably for names I mispronounce or anything like that. But yeah, you know, all good and all good-natured fun and banter, and you know, it's only a little bit of fun at the end of the day. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back to do a review of Oxford hammering Port Vale at the weekend. That's probably going to come back to haunt me. But thank you very much once again, and I will see you soon. Toot toot!